Today I'm going to use the mushrooms and tiny houses that I did tutorials for over the past 2 weeks to make a tiny little thimble garden. And you don't have to use the houses or toadstools if you don't want to. You can do whatever you like, really. I collect these teeny weeny snail shells from my garden. And I've made these little ladybugs. I use those sometimes. Buttons. I use a lot of buttons in my work. And I have this sort of dish of teeny weeny stones as well. So however you want to do it, whatever you want to include, it's probably a good idea to get all your stuff ready to go. So, here I have my thimbles. These ones are vintage thimbles. They're pretty cute. But thimbles do not have flat bottoms. They're sort of rounded for the most part and can be quite wobbly. So it's a good idea to sort of flatten them out a tiny bit. So grab a hammer and just give it a couple of good whacks. And all you want is to flatten out that little bump. You don't want to go crazy, just enough so that it's sturdy when it sits on the table or on a shelf. So, after you've given it a good whack with your hammer, get some white glue. I generally use sort of cheaper glue for this part, just because all it's doing is providing a base for your little scene that you're creating on top. So I actually fill it up about 3/4 of the way full. And I know this seems like a lot, but what you'll do is take some moss now and shove it in there and pack it in pretty tightly. You can use lesser quality moss for this part. So you can use, sort of cheaper moss, or moss that isn't in sheets, it's sort of broken into parts, or the stuff that you've trimmed off your roofs, and just pack that right in there. If you like, you can top it off with the nicer stuff. But you want to really get it, really get a good solid base for the scene that you're creating. And just like with the houses, you want to just sort of pinch it on there and don't worry about it being a mess, because you're going to give it a little cut afterwards. Now, you would want to let that dry. I am going to trim it right now, but what I would normally do is do a whole series of these. So, I don't know, however, I have like 20 at a time, and then let them dry. Now, I just trim it off. And if you lay your scissors sort of on the side of the thimble, you can use that as a guide. But just trim it however you like. Give it a good cut. Get that loose stuff off there. You want it pretty solid so that your house stays in place. So if that was dry, maybe much easier to work with. And then you can also fill in any little dents or whatever that happen to show up. So here's where putting your thimbles on to pins pays off. I like to have them, like the toadstools and stuff, sort of at different heights. So I can take my teeny weeny toadstool built on a pin, and I'm just going to snip off the end of this one. And then you can just push it right into the moss. And then I'll take another one. This one I'm going to leave because I want this one a little bit taller. I'll place that one in there too. Yeah, and that's in there pretty securely. You can add a little bit of glue on there, onto the pins, and that'll help keep them in place even more. So then I will just grab one of these tiny houses, and I've dipped it in some white glue, and I'm just going to plonk it right in there. Yeah, so just keep adding stuff. You know, like we can add one of these teeny weeny rocks. And for this stage, I generally use a better quality glue, just to make sure that everything stays put. I'll use some of this reindeer moss, break into a little piece, pinch it with my tweezers, and make sort of a little shrub. Just push it right in there. Yeah, and you just keep going. You can add little dried flowers or whatever. Just keep going until you're happy with your little garden, and that is it. Yeah, just let it dry, and it's in there pretty securely. This is one that's been dried already. Yeah, and the funny thing is that when I take these to shows or people come and see them, they think that they're incredibly delicate little things, but they're actually very sturdy. You could probably drop these and the dog could pick it up, and they would still be fine and dandy. So they're really great things to make, and they're probably even pretty good for older children to make, because they are so simple, but at the same time the effect is really, really cute and nice. So that's it. Good luck. Make a whole bunch and have a good time. Thanks.